Hi guys, it's Misty. Happy early Halloween. Welcome to another card video. I'm going to do a Halloween card today. That is the theme this week at Always Fun Challenges. And I absolutely love making Halloween cards. Unfortunately, I never have enough time to make as many as I want to, but I was happy just to get this one in this year, as crazy as my life has been. So, this card was inspired by a card that Vicky, I don't even know how to pronounce her last name, but she has a website. It's Clips and Cuts. I'll put a link to the description below to get to her YouTube channel because this is how I learned how to do this background, and she does it way better than I do. So um, I'm gonna do my best here. So I'm using the Distress Oxide inks, and I have a couple hiccups in my video or challenges or errors, whatever you want to call them. So I will point those out as I go along here. So first I'm just using some masking paper. I want to do a nice big bright moon. And I thought I wanted to do a grassy area, so I masked off the bottom portion. Um, yeah, I thought I was going to do like a dark grassy area, and that's not what ended up happening. But all right, so I'm going to start with the broken china. And again, watch Vicky's video because she explains it really well, and it makes sense because this is what's going to make it look like the moon is shining. And then moving on to the faded jeans. Great thing about these Distress Oxide inks is they blend so much easier than regular Distress inks. I still use the Distress inks, and I'll actually use one on this one too because I don't have the black soot oxide ink yet. But they just blend so nicely, and I kind of wish I would have started with these ones and then moved on to the regular Distress inks, but that's okay because started with the Distress, and so now this is much easier. All right, so after the faded jeans, I'm going to add in some seedless preserves, and love that purple color. It gives it such a cool effect. And then I'm just blending the colors together, so you just keep going back, and then I think I go back with the broken china and brighten that up a bit more. But so since I didn't have the black soot Distress Oxide, I'm just going to use the regular Distress ink, and it worked fine. Well, first I tried hickory smoke, but it just didn't give it enough color. So then I swapped it out for the black soot. I was just a little nervous because I wasn't sure. See, like even right there, I had a kind of a big mark, and since it's not an oxide ink, I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to get rid of it, but it actually blended out nicely, so I was pleasantly surprised. So I just started off really light with the black, and then increased my pressure as I got comfortable with how it was going down. All right, so then this lightest blue is a color I really want to pop because that's, like I said, what's going to make it look like the moon is glowing. And then this is my favorite part of doing these maskings is look how nice and crisp that is. Now, so okay, so there, I guess I got two errors going on here. So this is when I kind of started realizing I didn't want to do a grassy area because it's a Halloween card, and I decided I just wanted like a black hill. Um, but I'm going to fix that in a minute. I messed up on this moon too. I used, I don't think I used enough water on the fossilized amber, and see, I think I only did one squirt and I should have did a couple. It was just too dark, and I'm gonna try to fix it. I try to add more water. I get a bigger paintbrush, and I'm just not liking how the coloring is going. I probably still would have made it work, but then the next color, Vicky used a different color, and I don't have the color, so I used what I had, and it just didn't look right. So I'm gonna go ahead and add it anyway, and then I'll go over it. So heat setting that to add my darker colors. Yeah, see, I had wild honey. I can't remember what color she used, but it was not wild honey. at first I tried to add more water, and it was a little too similar to the color that was already there. And then the more I added, the more it just looked funky. I just didn't like the way it looked. So I just cut out another circle in the watercolor paper. The Tim Holtz watercolor paper is what I'm using, the smooth side. So just cut out another circle and then did it again. Decided to add a little bit more water this time and be a little bit more careful how and where I put the color. But for my first time, I mean, this is a really easy fix, and since it's such an easy shape, it was really easy just to put it right over the top of it. The other cool thing about cutting out the moon and having it separate is my background. I use the smooth side of the watercolor paper or cardstock, and then for the moon, I use the rough side, so it gave it a little bit more texture. All right, so I think, so instead of adding the wild honey or any other color, I just left it the way it is. And I'm going to fix it in a bit too, because there's still some areas that I didn't like on that cutout one. So just adding some water sprinkles, kind of make it look like stars. But you see how that light, that blue, that broken china does make it look like the moon is glowing. It's really cool looking. Yeah, so there's a couple spots there on this other moon that I didn't like the color. The edges were too harsh, so I just went back in with some more clean water and tried to smooth out those edges a little bit. And then I was much happier with this one than the one on my actual card. I didn't even think about this at the time, but I guess I haven't watercolored in a while, but I could have, on the card front there, I could have used a paper towel to soak up some of that color so it wouldn't have been so dark. Didn't even think of it. And then on the new moon, the moon on the left there, if you add another layer of color after it dries, you have kind of a different color there too, but I don't know. I think I was trying to do that. It didn't quite work out for me, so that was my other error. But like I said, I mean, it is what it is, and I was happy with it in the end because the witch is going to cover most of that anyway. So I was torn between these two sentiments here. I thought I was going to use the Happy Halloween, and then I decided to swap it out for this Life's a Witch sentiment. I just thought it was perfect for this card, and it fit perfectly on my little hillside there. So if you just saw, I popped up, I had just a circle with another sentiment that had some foam squares on the back. So I put it underneath it because I thought about popping up the moon. I don't think no, I didn't end up doing it, but that's if you're wondering what I was doing there. All right, so I'm going to heat emboss the sentiment and using my handy little platform here. Coarse anti-static powder, Versamark. I use my platform or my Misty for everything now. I don't even waste time messing it up. I'll just go straight for the Stamp Assisters. The witch image I purchased from Silhouette, so I will either have the ID number in the description below or it will be over on my blog. Speaking of that, I've noticed lately that all the my list of products that I use does not fit in the description on YouTube. YouTube only allows so many characters and it just never fits anymore. So what I've been doing is I'll just have a list of most of the products I used below on my YouTube description. But if you want a list of all the products I used, just head over to my blog and I'll have a list of everything I used over there. Speaking of blogs, have you guys checked out all the awesome entries over the Always Fun Challenges blog? There's some really pretty cards that people enter every week, so you guys should join us. It's a lot of fun. There's a new challenge every week. I didn't really ever do challenges until I joined this design team, but I'm having so much fun. It kind of makes me do things that I wouldn't normally do. So I love it. But yeah, new theme every week. If you want to see the card that I made for last week's theme, I'll put a little blurb up in the top right hand corner. You can click up there and it'll take you to that video. But yeah, anybody can join. It's open to anyone and everyone each week. So I hope you will at least check it out and see all the inspiration over there. And add yours too. My favorite glue pen I'm using here. I kind of made a little design out of it. Yeah, she has lots of glue on her, but I was having fun with it, so. Just be careful how much glue you use when you're using distress inks, because you don't want it to seep out. Ask me how I know that. With distress ink backgrounds, it's pretty obvious where the glue seeped out. Yeah, so I decided against popping up the moon, and I decided to pop up the sentiment instead. I just didn't want you to be able to see that other moon under there, and then it would be obvious that I messed up. So I did it to the sentiment instead. Yeah, so since that was my other error, I masked it off and I had this big white space down there. I just took a Tombow marker and colored around the edges, just a black pen. Since the sentiment's black and the craft foam is going to be black, I just made it all black. Otherwise it would have looked funky if you looked at it from the side and you saw white. Alright, so I'm almost done here. I'm just going to cut down my black craft foam to match the size of my little hill. You know, I used to use the same die of whatever shape I was putting craft foam behind, and then where it was stitched, that's where I would cut out so that it was a little bit smaller. But that was a big waste of time. I quit doing that. Now I just wing it. Nobody sees it anyway. So I'm adding the my favorite double-sided adhesive for craft foam. It's what I always use. It's called Be Creative or Sook Wing or 3M. It seems like it has lots of different names, but pretty much all the same thing. And then I'm going to add a couple borders. I decided to add a black one and also a silver one. And then there's just one more thing I'm going to add to it. I'm going to add some shimmer spray to it. First I'm going to cover up the sentiment and the moon with some scrap cardstock, and then I'm going to use my little glue box that I use when I'm using spray adhesive and add a nice layer of it's Imagine Crafts is the brand Shimmer Spritz, I think it's called, in Sparkle. But it just gives it a really cool, just makes it look more starry. Look at that sparkle, I love it. And that's it. That is my card. So if you want more details and more pictures, please head to my blog. I'll also have, like I said, a list of all the products I used there as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye!